30 יום קודם החג, שואלים ודורשים בהלכות haPessach. The next few weeks until Chag haPessach, Mirz Hashem, we will have a few Shiurim on Chag haPessach, and afterwards we'll resume with our Yeshua Shiur. First topic I'd like to discuss is the parasha of Kiddush HaChodesh. If you look in Parashas Boy, wo sie steht, the mitzvah from Kiddush HaChodesh, says in the Torah, ויאמר השם אל מוישה ואל אהרון בארץ מצרים לאמור, החודש הזה לכם ראש חודשים, ראשון הוא לכם לחודשי השנה. And Moshe Rabbeinu is given over the mitzvah of Kiddush HaChodesh. Before we start to the references that we have, just like to say a little bit about the Hebrew calendar, which is important background information, so we are able to understand what's happening. We know that unlike the solar year, which is the Goyish Year, which is Luach HaChamo, which the Oinois Hashana are dictated and are derivatives of the Luach Yemois HaChamo. Yemois HaChamo, a year, is 365.24 days per year. We have Israel Moinim Lelavana. Our Chodoshim, which we count to the Levana, not to the Cham. Shnois HaLevana are an average between 353 to 355 days per year. In the Hebrew year, we have an extra 30 days. Chodesh Adar is always 30 days, Adar Sheni. Kol Zman, that until Shnas Daled Alofim Tov Kuf Yud Tes, which is 1,664 years ago, there were Mekadesh es haChodesh al pi re'iyah. What does that mean? We have to have 354 days a year. I assume we're going to go afterwards according to the Luach. But there used to be Mekadesh the Chodesh al pi hare'iyah. Two Adims come along and say they saw the Levon. The Gemara states in Etlachem Mekoimes in Shas, Ein ben atzeres leatzeres elo arba yomim bilvad, which means that really, since the year on the average is 354, if we would have 30 days per month, it would be 360 days. So theoretically is one yom. You should have 1 month mole and 1 month choser. So if we have 1 month mole, 1 month choser, basically we're missing 6 days from the 360, making it a lunar year of 354 days per annum. Bishnas Daled Alofim Tov Kuf Yud Tes. Actually, it happened between Purim and Pesach. Somebody just going. Hillel Nesio, who lived in the Tkufa of Abaya and Rava, 1,664 years ago, was mevatel the whole inyan of Kiddush al pi hare'iyah. Based in Sanhedrin was winding down, and he was mesaken el luach. This is the luach that we have, which tells us the moilad, according to the Cheshbon, the moilad halavana from his time, from 1,664 years ago, bis the end of 6,000 years, shish alfei shone ave hayalme, he has it. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist. The truth of the matter is If you look at the Rambam Hilchos Kiddush haChodesh, from the time the year before the Bria So'ilo, in the Oilom is Nivra B'Chofei Elu, that year already, before we have a theoretical Moilad, it's called Moilad Toyu. When the Oilom was still Toyu V'Voyu, it was Moilad Toyu. Between every month, every one of people sitting here in the room and listening to the Shiur could be an astronomist who gives us the Moilad of a perfect. The Gemara says that if you want to figure out how many days are between, it's 29 days and a half, and Tashtzag Chalokim, 793 Chalokim. We know that the Jewish hour is split to 1,080 Chalokim, because you need a number that divides to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the first number is 1,080. So, Tashtzag Chalokim, approximately 29 and a half days and 42 and a half minutes is between Moilad to Moilad. So if you listen to the Gabbai say by the Moilad, the Zayin, Montig, Draya Zeger, and this Chalokim, if you take a calculator, you had 29 days plus 12 hours plus Tashtzag Chalokim, you're going to get to the next Moilad. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. And this is the way it was from Bria So'ilim. Far Bria So'ilim, we have a theoretical, and it's called Moilad Baharad. Beis, Hey, Reish, Dalet. I'm not going involved with, this is not a Shiur, the entire concept of Kiddush haChodesh. Maybe we'll get to it one day. But this is the Kiddush haChodesh. Now, Bizman that were Mekadesh al Pia Re'iyo. So what happened? Be'emes, that they ended up, Beis Din had to make, according to the Rambam, Cheshbein is to see that the Eid who's coming is really not a false Eid. Astronomically, they could figure out when the Moilad would be beforehand. The Gemara just says in Rosh Hashanah, Ad Shis Shoem Miskase Sahara, till 6 hours, or another version, the Gemara is 24 hours, 18 and 6, you don't see the moon. Moshe Rabbeinu is Nishkasho be Moilad Alavona. Rashi says, Kama Tehei Shiur ve'Yeruya Lekadesh, which is a Peldik Rashi, and the famous meeting, one of the two meetings the Briskerov had with the Chazon Ish, and the Briskerov, the Chazon Ish asked the Briskerov to say, Zogab Savot, let's hear something from you. So he asked the Chazon Ish, it says, Niskasha Moshe b'Moilad Alavona, Kama Yesh Shiur ve'Yeruya Lekadesh. What's Kama Tehei Shiur? The Eidim come, they see, the Rambam says it's Kemagol, Kechermesh. As soon as you see the Levana, spotting the Levana, that's it. What's Moshe Niskasha? You don't see, you do see. Yes, the Chazon Ish the Kasha. Chazon Ish did not answer, so Vozokstu. What do you say? So he told him, the Gemara state, as Ad Shis Shoem Miskase Sahara, the first 6 hours of the Moilad, the moon is somewhat covered. So if somebody would come with a microscope and would look and be able to see during those 6 hours, no, it's a shear. The Levana has a shear. The shear is till it's 6 hours old. And Moshe did not know what is exact the size of the Levana during the time of the Moilad HaLevana. That's what he told him. Afterwards, we found us one of the Shiurim, the Rambam brings down V'Alevana, Mishei Shoez V'Lamaylo. The Rambam brings it down in the Shiurim, the Rasag brings it down in the Shiurim, Alocha L'Meshe Nisina. We have Kazais, we have Revis, and we have V'Alevana, Mishei Shoez, Shetehei Re'uya L'Kadesh. Which this is the word, the Levana has to be 6 hours old. But what happened every month? 29 days. We know the moon circles around the earth once a month. And when the beginning of the month, it's totally this dark side. The moon doesn't have its own light. It reflects the light that the sun shines on it. So when the dark side, the beginning of the month, the full dark side is facing the Kadur Oretz, so it's unseen. As it goes weiter and weiter, when it comes to the 15th of the month, the whole lit side is facing Kadur Haaretz, so you see the full Levana. It's progressing, increasing the size, and from the 15th of the month, decreasing the size. So what it used to be, used to come 29 days, and the 30th day from Leil Shloishim is the time, we know it's 29 and a half, we know according to our Cheshbon, 2 Eidim, Kosher Eidim have to go and see the Levana, and then they come to Beis Nagod, Yerushalayim, they can even come on Shabbos. And this is how you convey the year. those Eidim come and say, we saw the Levana, Beis Din makes a ganze Drishas, Chakiras, and Drishas, and therefore, the Beis Din tells them, if they find out they passed all the investigation, the Chakiras and the Drishas, then the Beis Din say, Mekudosh, and the 30th day becomes the first day of the next month, resulting in that the previous month is Chodesh Choser. Let's take right now with Chodesh Adar. If on Lamed Adar, the Eidim come and say, we saw it at night, we saw it in the morning, we saw this, and they come into Beis Din. The Beis Din passes through. Beis Din decides it's an Eidei Emes. They say Mekudosh, and the 30th day doesn't become Lamed Adar, but rather becomes Aleph Nisan, and then we started to call Chodesh Nisan. What happened if nobody came till the Moitzei Lamed, till Leil Lamed Aleph? So that day is gone. You can't have a month more than 30 days. It's either 29 days, Chodesh Choser, or Chodesh Meuber, 30 days. Automatically, the month becomes Meuber, and it's called a Chodesh with 30 days, resulting in the only Yom Lamed Aleph, the 31st day to the previous month, is Yom Aleph to the next month. And the previous month, Adar, is going to be 30 days and not 29 days. That's the whole. Normally, if you look in the years, it's really Molochoser, Molochoser, Molochoser. The only difference is Cheshvan and Kislev can be either 2 Milayim, or 2 Chaseyim, or Echad Molav, Echad Choser. And that's why we have 354 days in the year. But we're talking about right now in the Tkufa, prior to Hillel Nisio, where the Kiddush was done. This is the whole Masechtas Rosh Hashanah. The Kiddush was done through 2 kosher Eidim that came. So this is the background information that we must know for this halach. Take a look at what we're learning right now. Let's see a pasuk. Shteit haPessach in Torah that it says in the psukim that you should have. Let me read you the psukim. Barishoyim ba'aba'os o yoyim haChodesh ba'erev toichlu matzes ad yoyim ha'echad ve'esrim haChodesh ba'erev shivas yoyim se'or lo yimotze b'basei b'teichem ki kol oichel machmetzes ve'nichas ha'anev v'shoyim me'adas Yisrael b'geru be'ezach ha'oretz, which is a pella. The Gleich the Midrashim and the Mechilta is bothered with a question. It says ba'aba'os o barishoyim ba'aba'os o chodesh ba'erev, which means Leil Tesvav. It says shivas yomim matzes toichelu. So every little kid that went to first grade, second grade would know that if you start Tezvov, it's Tezvov, Tezayin, Yudzayin, Yudches, Yutes, Chof, Aleph, 7 days. We don't find anywhere in the Torah that the Torah just Shivas Yomim, Chag HaSukkos. Does it say that it finishes when Shmini Atzeres? What's the Tarikh of Shmini Atzeres? It doesn't say. It's obvious that if b'chamisha yoyim, which means Abosor ba'erev, Moitzer Abosor, is the first day, that's the commencement of Chag haPessach, and the Zaloch Shivas Yomim Matzos Toichelu, so the last day of Pesach Shvi'i Shel Pesach is going to be Chof Aleph. What's the Chiddush? Look at the Mechilta. Ad Yoyim Echad ve'esrim l'chodesh ba'erev. Mechilta was bothered with the question. Lefi Shuei Shivas Yomim Matzos Toichelu, ein li ela yomim leilos minayin, Talmud Leima ad Yoyim Echad ve'esrim l'rabbeis es haleilos. So I would think that the mitzvah of achilas matzah is only in the days, not in the night. That's what it says. Ad yoyim, which should be consecutive, full time. There is no stops. There is no hafsokos in the mitzvah for shiva seven matzahs tochelu, but it is 7 straight, full 24-hour period of Moshe Skeni Bal Atesis. Take a look at the next one. Lo Moshana Hakosu Leimar Ad Yoyim Chof Aleph L'Chodesh. Again, same kasha. What do you need? It's obvious. The ilu meod ksiv shiva seim matzos terchelu ava minen sheyochel l'kaim zeh b'yam zayin yom mefuzorim b'dilugim. I shtickle there. Shiva seim matzos terchelu zok the Tosfos. I would think you start in Leil Tesvav and you go the next 2 weeks. You pick 7 days. You want to eat matzahs till Rosh Chodesh. Iyar mefuzorim b'dilugim. Komash melon the boy Zayin yom retzufim Leil Tesvav of Chofal. So it's 2 terutzim which is some modern Tosfos. Two terutzim, the Mechilta says, I would think it's days and not night. Everybody is bothered with the same question. What do we need once we have a 7-day and we have a commencement date? There's no reason to tell us the expiration of the Yontif. And the Mechilta says a teretz, I would have Avamina, the Lailo is not Zman Matzah. And Teisa says a teretz, I would think it's not Ritzufim, it's not consecutive. You could do it not Ritzufim, but the lug is so long. How long? I go 2 months, 3 months. How long can I go? Shteitish. But whatever Avamina, he doesn't have to have one lump sum of 7 days, consecutive days. Kamash Milan, Ad Yoim Echad Ve'esri Ba'erev, that maybe tonight we're going to offer some kind of a crystal ball to understand why did the Torah tell us Ad Chof Aleph L'Chodesh. And I would like to read with you a Rambam, which is a Peladik Shitas Rambam Hayeduo for those who learned Hilchas Kiddush HaChodesh. Look at the Rambam in Seif Perek Gimel Mikiddush HaChodesh. Shtei Rambam Zeh. Beis Sheyoshu Kol 30 Yom V'Lo Eidim V'Ishkimu B'Neshef. Ve'ibru es haChodesh K'moi Shebe'arnu B'Perek Zeh. Finished. Bezin said the whole 30 day, nobody came on the 30th day. And Bezin was me'aber the Chodesh. Ram says, "Aganze shtikl, how you make a ibur Chodesh, right?" Ve'achar bo chamisha yomim bo eidim rechoikim ve'idu sheroes haChodesh izmanu shulei shloishim ve'afilu bo b'seif haChodesh. What happened? Eidim came 2 weeks later. They said, "You know what? We got stuck with this. They closed the airport. There was Corona. We couldn't come to Bezin. They're coming in the Chof. They're coming sometimes later on in the month." And they say, "You know what? We saw the Chodesh in Leil Shloish." So the Rambam, "Ve'afilu bo b'seif haChodesh me'ayimim aleim iyum godlu matrifim leisa b'sheilus umatrichin aleim bebdikas umedaktekim beidusam umishtadlim beizin shel haChodesh Chodesh zeh oil v'yotza shmoi meubar." Bezin makes all kind of sophisticated investigation in order to jeopardize the Eidus, because once it's Yotza Shmei Me'uber, everybody knows last month for 30 days. So the Rambam, V'im omdu Eidim beidusum. However, notwithstanding the above, if the Eidim is oimdem beidusum, ve'nimtzes mechuvenes, ve'arei ha'eidim anoshim yeduim unevoinim, ve'nechker ha'eidus koroi, mechatchin oisa v'choizun u'meinu oisa chodesh b'yom shleishim, Oil v'nira yoreach b'leila. Ram says, if they stand all investigations, you threaten them and they came cross crystal clear and they're known to be Erlacha people, says the Rambam, you know what? Right now we think it's chof to the month, but in essence it's not really chof, because if the previous month was not 30 days but 29 days, it's chof aleph. Says the Rambam, you could have. This is Shitas Harama Mayedua, which is being attacked across the spectrum by all the Rishonim who deal with Hilchas Kiddush HaChodesh. About Koponim State in Rambam, there is a concept of Kiddush HaChodesh Lemafreya. You could retroactively be Mekadesh the Chodesh Lemafreya. Ve'im utzruchu beizim l'aniach Chodesh zeh me'ubach shoyer v'koidem she'yavohu elo ha'edim. If they need it, there is some exterior motives. There is a whole sugyas in the Gemara because of Trei Shaveh Ba'adei Adodei. There are different reasons why you don't want the Chodesh to be Choser the previous month. You want it to be Chodesh Mole. Says the Rambam, Manichin, V'zeu shomru me'aru v'sachodesh l'tzoyrech. You're not mekabel the Eidus if you need a tzoyrech the previous month to be. ויש מן החכמים הגדולים משחולק בדוב הזה ואומר לו אוי לו ממעבו מסחודש לצורך אוי בו עדים מקדשים ומעים מלא. Some Rishon Ram brings the machlokes hagoinim. Some of them say no such a thing. If you have two Eidims, let them speak out and say the Eidus and Afantzada, the Oimet Beidusum. We make the Kiddush HaChodesh L'Mafreya, and right now we're holding a day later. We made a mistake, and the Kiddush HaChodesh is Mekudesh L'Mafreya. Zog the Rambam. Yeroy li, look at the Rambam in Halacha Yudches. Yeroy li, it's a shtickle Torah from the Rambam. She'ein machlekes hachachom b'dover zel b'sh'ar chodosh, chutz mi Nisan v'Tishrei, oy be'edei Nisan v'Tishrei shebo achar she'ovru haregolim, שכבר נעשה מה שנעשה ועובר זמן הקורבן הזה זמן המועדס. אבל אם באו העדים בניסים ותשרי קודם חצי החודש, מקבל מדוסה ומאיים עליהם כלל שמאיים על עדים שהעידו על החודש שלו בזמן כדי לעבור. What I told you before, that when the Eidim come later on and they would like to retroactively make a Kiddush HaChodesh Lemafreya, this is only by 10 months of the year. By Chodesh Nisan and Chodesh Tishrei, you don't do that. Why? You want Pesach to be Bizmanai. So the Rambam says if they come before Pesach, you don't threaten them, just come, listen to them, and if they stand in the Eidush, state the Rambam, if they come before Pesach and before Tishrei and Pesach and Nisan, those two Chodoshim, you mekabel the Eidim, you don't threaten the Eidim. Wait, we'll see in a minute. So everybody has the kasha. The Rambam himself says, look at the Rambam in Perek Beis in Hilchos Kiddush HaChodesh. State the Rambam, Din Torah she'em medaktekim be'edus HaChodesh, she'afilu kitchut HaChodesh al pi Eidim v'nimtzu zoymim be'edus zu, harei ze mekudesh. The halacha is you're not medaktek b'kiddush HaChodesh. Whatever if two Eidim come along, we saw here outside Yerushalayim, 10 miles, this and this and that, we saw the Levana. And then two other Eidim say, how could you say that you saw the Levana? You were together with us in Haifa. So that's a regular Eidim Zayim. Says the Rambam, so normally by who's more Eidim, we know that the Torah says you believe the Mezimim, not the Muzomim, and the Eidim say the Sheker. Says the Rambam, once the Eidim said the Eidim, and based according to that was Mekadesh the Chodesh, state the Rambam, afilu nas, afilu kitchus HaChodesh al pi Eidim Zayimim, be'edu zu, arei ze mekudesh. Lefichach, בראשון מקבל נעידס החודש מכל עולם בישראל שכל ישראל בחזקת קשרוס עד שיבודה שפוסטטח עם רמב"ם קלור that if the Kiddush HaChodesh was nasa b'tos, this is a tos, it's a mistake, you don't go back. So what is the difference? Why if Bezins was koveya that the Chodesh was meubar, then you say that it helps Kiddush HaChodesh Lemafreya to uproot the previous. Was in the chiluk? As I frag the Shagazaria to Reven, as I frag in Allah when the teretz is poshut. Because the chiluk is very, very poshut. The Rambam, the reason why when nasu zoymimim the Chodesh bleibt mekudesh, because the Gemara Rosh Hashanah in Daf Chofei says atem afilu sheyegim afilu mezidim afilu mutin. The Torah says that it says atem in the parasha of Kiddush HaChodesh. So even mutin, even Bezin was mistakenly believed that the previous month was mekudesh, but this is when Bezin was mekadesh. The Beis was Mekadesh. Now, what happens legabe Ibur HaChodesh when Beis Din are making the Chodesh Meuber not Mekudesh? So, Machlekes in the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah Daf Chof Dalet, if Beis Din is Mekadesh, Yom Lamed Aleph or not? What happens when Eidim did not come on the 30th day? Do we take the Yom Lamed Aleph and we say Beis Din comes says Arei Mekudesh? Automatically, as soon as 30 days pass, the previous month is Meuber, and the first day becomes Rosh Chodesh without Kiddush. Shitas Rambam, as they pass the Rambam, that it's an automatic transition. Bezin does not need to be Mekadesh, a Chodesh, which the previous month was the Uber, and as soon as the first day Aleph comes, Yom Lamed Aleph, which is Aleph to the next month after the previous month was Meuber, the halacha is it automatically becomes Rosh Chodesh. So mainly it's very poshut. The chilek is when they come to be oiker the kiddush that was done betos b'yom lamed, right? So since the akira doesn't help, why? Because atem afilu mutin, afilu sheging, afilu mezidim. Something was done mistakenly. You don't take a ma'aseh kiddush which was done betos and you operate it. But here is the other way around. Here was the ibur. So if there would be a ma'aseh kiddush by the ibur, the Rambam Paske have a good shayla. But being that the Rambam Paske that the ibur does not, there's no necessity to make a kiddush in Yom Lamed Aleph, but rather once the past the 30th day without Eidim, Yom Lamed Aleph becomes Aleph l'Chodesh without a kiddush. So it wasn't a kiddush. For them state in the Rambam, since there was a kiddush, there was an automatic kiddush. You could uproot and go back on the Kiddush HaChodesh Lemafreya and make the Kiddush HaChodesh Lemafreya. However, I'd like to be mekatzer. We don't have that much time. However, the Ritvo comes and asks a few kashas on the Rambam. The Ritvo comes and asks, he says, the Gemara state a Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah. The Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah says, what do you need? Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah state, Ro'u Beis Din v'kol Yisrael nechkeru eidim v'lo yispiku loymar mekudesh ad shechashecho harei ze meuber. The Rambam says, what happens? The Rambam says a case. What happens if everybody saw, Beis Din saw, the eidim saw, everybody saw The chodesh was, we saw the new chodesh. But lo yispiku loima mekudesh. They have to have a ma'aseh kiddush. They're sitting in the lishkas agozis, basis mekabel, everybody sees the levana, but they were sitting and talking and making drishas v'chiras segivol nacht, and they didn't say it. The Rambam says the chodesh automatically becomes a chodesh me'uber, not mekudesh. In fact, the ritvo, this is often a steer to the Rambam. The Rambam says you can make chodesh mafreya. So why is the Mishnah saying, the Rambam brings down the halacha, that if Bezdin did not say mekudesh in Yoim Lamed, then the chodesh becomes meuber. Why make meuber? The Rambam Shita is if they come a week later, they could uproot it. So what happened by Chasheicho? Right now, ein lechok kiddush hachodesh mafreya kotten mizeh. It's not even the mafreya. It's right now, an hour ago. They saw it before. They did see it before, and we know they saw it before. No, it happened some kind of a technical support issue. The Bezdin wasn't matzliach to say mekudesh. Azay fragt the Ritvo, he asked another kasha. I'm not getting into the second kasha, but the first kasha he asked, he says it bleibt tzorachin on the Rambam, the chapella otzum that the Rambam says. So be'emesis, there's a pirush from one of the kadmoinim, a pirush of one of the kadmoinim and meforish on the Rambam Kiddush HaChodesh Shaila, who is the Baal meforish of the one of the kadmoinim. Some people say it's the Ritvo, some people say it's other Rishonim, but the meforish and Hilchos Kiddush HaChodesh on the side, it's one of the Rishonim, says that in the Akrova of Korban Rosh Chodesh, the day 30 passed. So Mimela, the Eidos is not Moyelis, because the damage was done, the Korban was already Nikrav. But when the Rambam says Kiddush Chodesh L'mafreya, is L'gabe Minyan, from now on, he says whatever damage was done was done. You don't say that what they have done, what happened basically. If it is something that you have done, whatever damage was done was done. L'gabe counting, from now on, Shitas Rambam Kiddush Chodesh L'mafreya helps. The Rambam sees that the Rambam is a Pella, and that's what Yuba marked before, and I looked at the Rambam says that if the Eidim came till Tesvav Tishrei and Tesvav Nisan, so you're not me'ayam ala Eidim, you let the Rambam says if they come in Nisan and Tishrei after Yontev, you are me'ayam. So the Noisa Kelim asks to steer in the Rambam. Here the Rambam says that until Tesvav you're not me'ayam. Vice tois any time after Tesvav, you do go back and threaten them, you don't want to do it. The Rambam in the other halacha says that if they came after Yontif, you want to make the whole Yontif from a Freya toes, then you may ayam alim. What happens in Yontif itself? For one part of the Rambam is mashma, that only till Tesvov you're not me'ayam alim. Anytime thereafter you me'ayam alim, which means that during Chalamoid you also be me'ayam alim. And the other side in the Rambam Vaistois, so only after Yontif Avru Amoyados, then you me'ayim alim. Vaistois any time beforehand, you're not me'ayim alim. So ha'eich is kaimu shtei mikor salom. I would like to take the few minutes that we have to explain. So do Avelts Machlekes Achreinim in Das Rambam Kiddush HaChodesh L'mafreya. Shitas Hatzlach in Beitze in Davov. The Ritzlach learns that whenever you have Kiddush HaChodesh L'mafreya, right, that the halacha is you oiker the Chodesh the previous month, the Yom HaIbur, and you mekadesh Yom Lamed to be Aleph of the first month. So basically, we're coming out in the streets, we hang up Tzetlach, and we say, Rabbi Isai, you should know it's a mistake. Whatever we thought today it's Hey Nisan, it's not Hey Nisan, it's Vav Nisan, because the previous month, Ador, was only 29 days, not 30 days. That's Shitas Hatzlach. Now, whenever you have a Kiddush HaChodesh L'mafreya L'das Rambam, you retroactively change I thought was Hey. You thought it was a mistake. There's a vort from the Briskerov, a beautiful vort. Briskerov also says that he says, why does it say Be'etzem HaYom Hazeh only by Chag HaShavuos? All the other Yomim Tovim, there's no Be'etzem HaYom Hazeh. Says the Briskerov, you know why? Because all the other Yomim Tovim, it's not really Be'etzem HaYom Hazeh, because it's totally in the calendar. So if the Eidim would come and say that after Pesach, and you me'ayim, and they cross-examination, they pass through all the tests, when it comes out, the be'emes, the Pesach that you praved on Tesvav, wasn't Tesvav or Tezayin, Erev Pesach, when you ate bagels before Srifas Chometz, you eating Chometz on Pesach. You sat in the sukkah the first night you didn't see, you sat outside the sukkah. Came Yom Kippur, you fasted on Yom Kippur. The Yom Kippur that you fasted was Erev Yom Kippur. Kol ha'oichel b'chi, malak ki'ilu, chi v'asiri, it was really chi. And Nachdem, when you came Asiri, you changed the whole thing as a mistake. You led a life betos. That's Shitas. This is all about other Yom Tovim. But in Shavuos, the halacha is Yom HaChamishim. The Torah never gave a date to Shavuos. It's 50 days from Pesach. Now, this halacha of Kiddush HaChodesh Mafreya only works 1 month. You can't come back 2 months later and retroactively uproot Chodesh Adar when you're holding an ear. You could do it during the following month, the subsequent month. You can go ahead and so when it comes that Shavuos is always in Chodesh Sivan, and Pesach is always in Chodesh Nisan. So in any circumstances, even if in Nisan they came and they uprooted, Lamaisi, you got to count 50 Yom to say, hey, to say Vav, to say Zayin, doesn't make a difference. The Torah says, Be'etzem, Bayoyim Hazeh, in Chag HaShavuos. That's our vote from Briskerov. He tells to this Ramah of Kiddush HaChodesh Mafreya. This is all the Shiurei that holds that if you hold these, a Kiddush HaChodesh Mafreya, the Maise goes that retroactively live in the Tos. The Minchas Chinuch, Shreit, Chai V'Kayom, he doesn't understand it. I'd like to read the Minchas Chinuch aside. I didn't bring it, the Minchas Chinuch. Zog the Minchas Chinuch Hazeh. Listen to this. V'anira lan yuzdaiti lefi choymer hanoise. The choyer tomua, the imbo eidim acha yom HaKippur mekatshon lemafreya, ולא יעשו ראש השנה ויום כיפר כלל, אין לך קלקול גדול מזה. אלא נראה, כיוון שהתורה הקדושה מוסר המועדים לבית דין, ואתם אפילו מזידים אפילו מותים, אם כן אין לך מועדים אלא אלה, כי כן גוזר הכוסף. אם כן כשלא באו עדים ביום 30, ונעשה החודש מעובר על פי בית דין, כן הוא הדין, והקריבו קורבנו של ראש חודש ביום 31, וכן עשו יום הכיפורים בעשירי ליום 31, ובאמס כדין עשו, כיוון דבייזן מסכימים, ואחרי כן, דבייזן חוזר מקדשים יום 30, מכל מקום, מה שהיו עשו הקורבן יום 31, מה שהיו עשו יום הכיפורים לחשבון כדין עשו, כי כך גוזרו התוירו הקדושו, ואם כן אף שמקדשים מפריע, אין לך קלקול גדול מזה, ומכאן ולהבא צריך לחשוב כמו שקידשו בייזן יום 30. אבל עד עכשיו שקידשו בייזן יום 31, הרי החשבון יום 31, ואף שמקדשים למפריע, אין קלקול כלל. זוג למחסכים לחזה. כן יום כיפר. You thought the previous month is Meuber. So it came out that the Aleph that you counted Aleph Tishrei was really base Tishrei, because Lamed of Elul, Nimois Ezra, we're not Me'aber Elul B'chlal, this is now the Mekadesh Al Pi Acher. But we're talking about Bizman She, the Mekadesh Al Pi every year. Lamed Elul, that you announced that Chodesh Elul is a Chodesh Mole, which is a Chodesh Meuber, is wrong. It's really, once the Eidim came and Yud Gimel Tishrei, we know that Lamed was really Aleph. So when you came Yom Kippur, you counted Yud, Bishas Maise, Be'emes Yoredarka, Peshmaya Gali, once you say the previous month is not Meuba, but Chodesh Choser, so it's the next day. Zog de Michaschin Ishto Zazach. Atem afilu Shegegim, he says, V'dovo Boru, he says, V'loimonati lichsev lo'evim shogisi Hashem atoy v'chaper badi. He's afraid to say. But he says, Avada and Avada, if you are what you ate till today, it was, by Yud Gimel, it comes like this. When I'm holding right now Yud Gimel Tishrei, so by Yom Kippur, when I had Yom Kippur, when I thought I was optical illusion, thought that this Yud 3 days ago was Yud Tishrei, or that time was Yud Tishrei. Because Kolzman, the Eidim didn't come after him, afilu shegi, afilu meizidim, state as a Chodesh is nikba, according to Chodesh HaIbur, Bezer u'me'aber the Chodesh, previous month, the 30 days, Yom Kippur was on the Yud that we thought was Yud. Now that comes Yud Gimel, in the middle of the day, in the second basin, authorized, authenticated, the Eidus of the Eidim, the halacha is, it's not Yud Gimel, clap, Shrein al Gassen, from now on 12 o'clock, please change. We changed the clock tonight, change your calendar. It's not Yud Gimel, it's Yud Daled.
What does that mean?
Veltsnaf Kamine. I'll tell you exactly what Nafkamine is. Here we are. Sagst doch sehr gut, fragst du gute Kash. Let me ask you a question. Comes Chalamoyed Pesach. Comes Chalamoyed Pesach. Let's go right now. We Pesach. Let's be realistic. Comes Chalamoyed Pesach. Sitting Yutes, sitting on Yutes, Nisan, come to Eidim and say, you should know what? Chodesh Adar was not Chodesh Meuber. Beis made a mistake. Chodesh Adar is really a Chodesh Choser. And now, Beis said like this, we ate matzah on the first day. Richtig gegessen matzah. We never ate chometz on Pesach. We ate matzah. But now, in the middle of Yutches, it becomes Yutes. Which means, that this year, how many days do I have Pesach?
You're going to be short a day.
You'll be short a day.
So they're going to argue if you eat matzah.
So I'm not arguing.
No, you're not.
So it comes out that I'm eating, if Beis will be mekabel the Eidim of the Eidim on Chalamoyed, comes out the Pesach will be only 6 days. I'll tell you, there's a Gemara in Erechim. Look at the Gemara in Erechim. Gemara is a shaila, if Oilas Nidvas Tzibur, okay, needs Shiur or doesn't need Shiur. Gemara has a shaila, Oilas Chayva needs Shiur. You make Nesachim. Once you make Nesachim, you got to make Shiur. So by Oilas Chayva, there's a din of Shiur. By Oilas Nedava, the Gemara is a shaila if you need the Shiur. Look at the Gemara. Toshma vayoyim Chizkiyahu lahalos oil lamizbeach ubeis ochel oil echel shich Hashem v'chatzitz al dei klei Shiur melech Yisrael. Hai Shiur ma'av v'detayu. Yilim the oil is choyve. It says that Chizkiyahu HaMelech was tzachgevakelt. He sat down and he had a concilium with the kohanim around him. Should be mak, should be yer, should be not. And then he sang a sing with the Shiur with the chatzitz. Moses, what kind of korban it was that he had to have? Take a debate. Doesn't know why is it different than any other korban. And that was a suffix. You can't say that. It doesn't need. It's oilas choyve, but the shailo is by him. He doesn't know if Rosh Chodesh is Rosh Chodesh or not. Is it Rosh Chodesh or it's Erev Rosh Chodesh? Is it Lamed? Is it Aleph? That was the suffix. So the Gemara, Omar le'abai u'mimotzis Omar tochi ve'ochsi b'yoyim shisha osel l'chodesh harishon v'yoyim Chizkiyahu lahaloi so'il l'mizbeach. It says it happened on Tes Zayin Nisan. So you can't say it's Rosh Chodesh. Ela omarami brei de Rav Yeve keves haboy ma'oimer. Kami boile. Second day Pesach will bring the oimer. With the oimer will bring a keves haboy ma'oimer. And the keves haboy ma'oimer was the shaila mikova Rosh Chodesh is man l'likor v'nat. Mas kiflei halavaye. V'lech ze Pesach echel ovid matzah echel ochel. What kind of shaila does he have? He has a shaila if Rosh Chodesh happened 2 weeks ago, 16 days ago. He just ate matzah 2 nights ago. He just makif korban Pesach. Eimol. I heard once in my Rebbe, Rabbi Yosheber said over B'Shem de Briskov, Eimol, the Tata dos gefragt in Brisk, dos keimol the Shiber gefragt noch amol. He asked the kasha. Loit the Rambam is Kiddush HaChodesh Mafreya. So what's the Gemara's kasha lech say? If they ate Pesach, if they ate matzahs, they ate Pesach, they ate matzah. But the first day Chalamoyed, Eidim came, and right now it's the Kiddush HaChodesh Mafreya. Would the raya from the fact that they ate matzah that it is right now to Zion? The Gemara says, no, he had a different suffix. The Gemara walks away from it. Rabbi Isai, the steer in the Rambam is very poshut. The reason why the Rambam says that till Pesach you mekabel the Eidim, because you want to have, and only after Yom Tov you me'ayim, because they close down the Beis Din. Beis Din is not mekabel Eidus Kiddush HaChodesh, not on Pesach and not on Sukkot. And the reason for that being is because if there will be mekabel Pesach and Sukkot, comes out that I'm only going to have Chag HaPesach 6 days. The Torah state me, Ba'abosel Yom L'Chodesh Ba'erev, Shivas Yom Teichal Matzes Ad Yom Echad Ve'esrim. It has to be 7 days. If the Torah would say just Ad Yom Echad Ve'esrim, so I'm not muchach that I'm having Shivas Yom Teichal. Myself found lately, Chaschidach himself says, a Beis Din in Hilchos Kiddush HaChodesh, a Beis Din is not mekabel the Eidus of Kiddush HaChodesh on Chalamoyed itself. He has this other shtickle Torah, why not? But if Beis Din will be mekabel the Eidus of Kiddush HaChodesh to Mafreya during Chalamoyed, the Rambam is a steer. The Rambam says till Pesach, and then the Rambam goes on vacation. Ki'ilu till Pesach you mekabel, and after Pesach is Iyum Godel. And what happened during Pesach? What happened during Sukkot? During Pesach and Sukkot, you're not mekabel the Eidim for Eidish Kiddush HaChodesh. If they come during Pesach, Sagur. Today it's closed. You come back after Yom Tov. Then the Ram says, "Me'ayim imim u'godl." The oifen the name that we have as follows. Rambam Shita is that we have a concept of Kiddush HaChodesh L'mafreya. This Kiddush HaChodesh L'mafreya, according to the Rambam, could be in any month throughout the month until the end of the month. Me'ayim iyum godl. The Rambam says that during the month of Tishrei and Nisan, since he